Hi, I'm Ashley Cooley, a birth, baby, and sleep specialist and mom of 3. There's so much information out there, right? This show is dedicated to helping you clear out the noise so you can figure out what will work best for your baby and your family. If you're looking to learn more about your baby, gain more confidence in your parenting, and get as much sleep as you can through it all, you've come to the right place. Bringing up baby is about to get a little easier. Hey everybody, Ashley Cooley here. A quick little announcement before we dive into today's episode, particularly for those who live in the Halifax area here in Nova Scotia. In 3 months from today, as in the day this episode drops, which is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025, in 3 months from now, we are hosting our annual Pregnancy and Parenting Expo in Halifax at the Halifax Forum. It's on a Sunday. We'll be there most of the day from about 9 to 3. We've invited and we'll be hosting up to 40 vendors, which are service providers, individuals, professionals, experts in their field who can help support you somewhere along the journey, if not all through it. But when it comes to pregnancy, childbirth, parenting, postpartum, babies, toddlers, life with a young family, we are all gathering in one location in Halifax to hang out with you, to meet you, to share what we have to offer, to provide some goodies and freebies and information. We're actually going to be hosting 5 different sessions related to sleep and eating and postpartum so that you can learn, you can see what's available in your community to help build your village. So I hope to see you out there. I'm really excited to be doing this again this year. And we've got lots of great help from some wonderful providers in the community. So yeah, stay tuned on that. There'll be more details to come and updates. And you can check that out at birthbabysleep.ca/events or follow us at birthbabysleep on Instagram. And, might as well follow Pregnancy Parenting Expo on Instagram as well. But it's a long handle, so I'll just put that in the show notes to make it easy. All right. Now, for our episode today, I'm going to talk about this eat, play, sleep routine. Anyone who has Googled anything about sleep for their baby has probably come across this eat, play, sleep routine. I don't know where it originated from, but it's kind of out there as a way to help people organize their day, I suppose, into a routine. Because what we do know about babies, you will hear this, you have heard this here many times. Every baby's different, but babies typically love routines, consistency, patterns. That's how they learn. That's how they can predict things. That's how they're figuring things out. So following a routine in your day for the baby, like we feed them, then we play, then we get them ready for sleep, we sleep, and then we wake up, and then we eat, and we play, and we sleep, and we eat, play, sleep. So that can work really well for lots of families, for lots of babies, for those very reasons that they love the consistency, it's predictable, and we're making it work. Wonderful. So this episode probably isn't for you if that's the case, but I am often asked about this eat, play, sleep routine. Like, what do you think about it? Or have you tried it? Or do people that you work with, are they using this too? How do you get baby to wind down? Because I used to be doing this and putting them to sleep while feeding, or that was really helping them conk out and is making it really efficient. But now that I'm not feeding right before nap or bedtime or what have you, finding it challenging to help them to wind down, things like that. So that's what I thought I would just explain a little bit about what I do think about it. And primarily it's what I just said. Hey, it can work really well. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it doesn't always work well for people. Or you may be considering, should we try this? Or when my baby arrives, I think we'll go with this, is eat, play, sleep. It keeps it simple. Don't even have to think about it. This is what we'll follow. And yeah, there'll probably be times where it'll work out that way and it will flow, but they do go through phases, and there could be phases where that doesn't work well for them, or maybe it just doesn't work for them, or it doesn't work for you. And that also happens. So I'll first talk about, those who are following an eat, play, sleep routine or are curious and maybe want to try this sort of thing. A way that you can help baby to wind down, to get ready for their nap or bedtime, is having a pre-sleep routine. And maybe you do, and feeding was the last step of that routine or is the last step of that routine, and they either fall asleep while feeding or you feed them, they get nice and drowsy and sleepy, and they're very easy to put to sleep after that. So it could be something like that, and now we're looking to take the feeding away. And honestly, I really think this is probably the primary reason why people want to follow a routine like this, or even find out about what this is or have heard it before, when they're trying to organize or help their baby to sleep. But we're not trying to find a routine so that we know when to feed the baby, or so that we know, okay, this is when we play. This is when we do this, right? It's for sleep. We want them to fall asleep easily. We want them to stay asleep for a long time. We want them to get all the benefits of good, healthy sleep. But maybe we're noticing that that's not happening. So we're Googling and we're searching and we're asking questions. This eat, play, sleep routine comes up. Oh my gosh, when we started doing this, everything just fell into place. So then you start doing it, but things aren't falling into place. But then you keep doing it and you stick with it because it works. It says it works. But yet you're driving yourself insane. And maybe your baby too, because it's not working. They're not falling asleep any easier, or maybe it's harder than they did before. They're not sleeping any longer than they used to, or in fact, maybe less than, right? So if you're not noticing any changes or improvements with sleep, your baby's not a bad baby. They're not a bad sleeper. You're not a bad parent, and you're not doing anything wrong. It's not that you're doing this wrong, you need to keep trying. It's, hey, let's maybe try something different that's going to work for your baby and for you and your lifestyle and things like that. Looking for the best for your baby? Atlantic Canada's Baby Store is here for you. Nurtured, which is right here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, has the best products for baby. The staff are so incredibly helpful, and they have the most top-rated car seats and strollers you won't find anywhere else. So whether you need expert advice or the perfect baby gear, Nurtured's got you covered. Nurtured, supporting your parenting journey every step of the way. While we can understand that, you're still like, okay, well, if I'm not going to follow this eat, play, sleep thing, what am I going to do? Because I'm trying not to associate feeding with sleep. First of all, it's okay to associate feeding with sleep. It's very normal and common and expected most of the time, especially for newborns. But you can still feed your baby or your child before a nap or before bedtime and not have them fall asleep that way. That is possible. And it doesn't have to be sleep training either. It can be, hey, let's just put them to sleep in another way. But what's really going to save you, and the first step into all of this, is having a pre-sleep routine, a way that we can help baby to wind down and have their body tell them, okay, it's time for sleep because of what is going on. And these pre-sleep routines are so important at bedtime, but they're even more important during the day. Do you have a FOMO baby by chance? A fear of missing out? They either come out born as FOMO babies, or they often eventually develop the FOMO because they're growing, they're learning, they're maturing, they're learning and discovering things. And who wants to slow down to have a nap? I don't care if I'm tired. Look at what I'm doing. Okay? So having a pre-sleep routine is just a series of steps that you do to help your little one get ready for sleep. And it tells their body that, hey, sleep's coming soon. Let's wind down. Let's let our guard down. Let's allow ourselves to fall asleep. So that could look like, if not feeding, because you're doing eat, play, sleep. So we've already done the feeding. We're doing the playing. Now we're going from playing to sleep. We got to wind down here. So taking them up to their room, and perhaps it's dimly lit, or you're getting it ready. That's part of the routine. You go to the room, you close the blinds, you turn on a little night light, maybe a sound machine, what have you. If you haven't already changed a diaper, if you're doing that, maybe we want to do that. If they're wearing a sleep sack, that's going to bring something else up for me, but like they don't have to wear a sleep sack for naps, just if they're wearing it at night. But putting it on is such a strong sleep cue because they truly, like, they're only ever wearing that when they're sleeping. So might as well give it a try if you are looking to develop some healthy sleep habits and routines and messages for them. That is a great one, but you don't have to either. So just want to put that out there. But that could be part of the routine, right? So we get them dressed, we get the room ready, we maybe read a story or two. And if your little one's super excited or doesn't want to sit still through the story, we don't have to force it, but maybe just getting the routine. Oh, you only got one page in? All right, well, that's fine. We'll do it again later and tomorrow and the next day. And eventually they will sit down for it and want to listen. But having a little story, maybe it's singing a lullaby together once you've turned the lights out and you're cuddling or what have you. Well, I'll tell you, being in the dark, comfortable, familiar, safe sleeping environment, like in their room or wherever else they're sleeping in your home, those things are giving them the vibe to fall asleep. So your consistency with getting them ready and putting them down when they need sleep to happen, that's consistency enough. So if you're finding though still that your little one is just amped up and is not settling and you typically rock them to sleep or bounce them to sleep, you might want to start that process a little bit earlier. I caution you to not go too early, because going up to a dark room to get a baby ready for sleep that is not near the end of their wake window, it's therefore not tired enough for that, they could resist it much longer in that sense. So I would say maybe 5 minutes earlier, you start that wind down process. Try to introduce a book. Maybe do the book downstairs first, and then you go upstairs to the room and finish the last steps. So having a pre-sleep routine is key. And if the last step is no longer going to be feeding, or you've moved the routine, or you're doing this eat, play, sleep stuff, then you've got to have a couple of things like reading a story, singing a song in a dark room, just swaying with them, going around the room, say goodnight to things, like make it obvious that we're winding down because it's time for sleep. And so those other steps should help step into play. So because I'm often asked, like, what do I think about the eat, play, sleep routine? I mean, if it works, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you're considering that as your like go-to for this is what's going to get my little one to sleep better, I mean, it might, but it's probably not why they're not sleeping well. For some, it might be, what if they're distracted while they're eating during the day? It's very common for babies to have quote unquote nursing strikes, or just be distracted when you're trying to feed them, whether you're nursing or bottle feeding or what have you. Because again, FOMO, hello. We sometimes have to go to a dark, quiet room just to get a couple minutes of a decent feeding. And that can just be so challenging. So when they get distracted from feeding in the daytime, then this eat, play, sleep stuff kind of goes out the window too, because maybe now, the only time I can get a good feeding out of my baby is when I do it when they're tired and then they fall asleep. But that's not the approach that we're taking, or we're trying to go for more independent sleep, or we're trying to get away from them falling asleep during this. But that's the only time they're going to eat. What do we do? Well, we can provide the opportunities for your baby to eat. We can follow their cues, their hunger cues, and do our best to have a feeding they're not too distracted by, or they're not too distracted from. But even during all of that, you may find yourself offering to feed more often, and that could look like before bed. So if someone's asking for my advice, and I typically don't want to steer either way, because, hey, I see both sides and everybody's different, and to each their own. What's going to work is going to work, and I'll help support whatever that looks like. But it's probably not something that I would do personally, because I found my little ones in experience worked really well. Sometimes, that's just how it worked out, the routine. It just kind of fell into an eat, play, sleep routine. But I found a lot of times it was really nice to just offer them a little feeding, a little top up perhaps, quote unquote, to help ensure that they're nice and full to go to sleep, certainly at bedtime, but even for naps. Because if they were going to wake up prematurely, if they're going to wake up 20 minutes later from their nap, I don't want to be thinking, oh my gosh, are they hungry? That's why they're waking up. I better go, right? I want to encourage the sleep. I want to encourage the nap. And so if I can take that as a potential reason off the table that, oh, they're waking early because they're hungry, well, then I can go to the next thing. Why are they waking early? Maybe I need to XYZ, do something else. So all that being said, I'll just say it one more time. The eat, play, sleep routine, there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely not. But if you find it's not really working out for you, then don't do it. Try something else. Try eat, play, eat, sleep. Try play, eat, sleep, play. No, I don't know. Just go about your day how you're going to go about your day. Get your cues from your baby. Maybe offer to feed on top of that if you're finding they're not really giving you cues because they're getting the FOMO, okay? Because I would say the same thing when it comes to sleep. Don't wait for your little one to give you sleepy cues if this is when they typically are going to need to nap. And, oh, well, they haven't given me any cues yet, so they're not ready. But then an hour goes by. Have they given you cues yet? Like, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And a lot of times, by the time they're giving us cues, they're already in that overtired state. So there's nothing wrong with offering a bottle or offering to nurse outside of the times where they typically otherwise would feed, because you never know. Today's different than yesterday, right? So I guess if you are going to offer, let's say you're going to do eat, play, eat, sleep, right? The offering to feed as part of the pre-sleep routine is not only welcomed, it's encouraged. I encourage it. Get that reason off the table as a potential reason for them waking up too soon. So eat, they wake up, we feed them or offer to feed them, and maybe they're too busy or maybe they take it. Either way is great. You have a little play. Maybe you offer to feed again, and maybe that's the first step in getting them ready for their nap, their next nap or bedtime, is you feed them, and then we go up to their room and change a diaper, put on a sleep sack, read a little story under a lamp, turn that off, maybe have some sound machine going if we're using that, have a little cuddle, a little time to connect, lay them down, go to sleep, and we do it again. Or maybe it looks different in the next wake window or the next day. That's cool too. Okay, well, there's my 2 cents. I hope that's helpful. If you'd like to discuss some more, if you still have questions, if you're looking for a routine or a way of doing things to help your little one get some better sleep, please reach out, because there's more than just this eat, play, sleep thing that you can try. If you're looking for more information or support along your parenting journey, check out birthbabysleep.ca. That's where you're going to find prenatal classes, postpartum and new baby resources, and sleep support during the childhood years. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you got something out of this episode or our show in general, leaving a rating or a quick review goes a really long way to helping others find us. So please consider leaving one. That's all for now. I'm Ashley Cooley, and we'll see you back here next time.